Welcome to the February 20th, 2019 Board of Selectors Sewer Commission meetings. All members are present. First item on the agenda is public comments. Hearing none. Next is approval of minutes, February 6, 2019.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I'm sorry.
Abstain.
Okay, next item is February 13, 2019 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Okay, next is review and vote to approve warrants. Who's doing that?
I make a motion to approve the warrants for the periods covering February 7th, 2019 to February 20th, 2019, including town FY 19, 33, and 34, sewer FY 19, 17, and 18, payroll FY 19, 16, MLP number 22 and 23, and school FY 19, 13.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is consider request to transfer common victuals license issued to Honey Farms to Wachusett Farms, 106 Worcester Street. You can step forward. Just gonna ask Nancy. You're all set, sir. You can tell us.
Good evening, everyone.
How you doing?
Myself, Kapis Club, and I just bought the business. Used to be a honey farm, and we're gonna change just the name, Wachusett Farm. Everything else, just wanna keep it as it is.
Did they sell all the honey farms or just that one?
At this point, we bought only one, so it's a corporate, so I don't know, sir, about that.
Yep.
Can I ask, do you own any other businesses?
No,
So this is your first venture?
yeah, this is the first one, yes.
And are you from the area?
Yes, I just moved from Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah,
Okay. And where are you living? What?
right now I live in Shrewsbury.
Oh, okay. Nice. And hours of operation are going to stay the same, or?
It's gonna be the same.
Is it open 24 hours now?
No, actually, it's a 5 to 11.
It's what?
It's 5 in the morning to 11 night time.
You're sleeping, John, so you don't know that they close.
So are you planning on keeping the same hours?
Yes,
It's
sir.
gonna look, just the name's gonna change, pretty much everything else is
Exactly,
gonna
sir.
look
Yes, sir. Yes,
the
sir.
same?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, motion. Nancy, is there anything has to be done? The fire department, do they have to, anybody have to review
Compliance
it?
with everyone, they worked with the Board of Health, they got their inspections, and they're good to go.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Congratulations, welcome to town.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you for welcoming.
Consider request for common victuals license and transit vendor license for the following food trucks to be located at 216 West Boylston Street. Dogfather Vending, Teddy's Lunchbox, and Traveling Bones BBQ.
This is where,
So this is, I believe, at the property, the property of Recess, correct?
I'm one of the food trucks, yeah.
Okay, so my understanding is the gentleman that's opening that business,
Chris was here this evening.
these folks are here. They want to have vending trucks. They want to have 3 possible vending trucks, and 1 at a time will be there, though. You can tell us what you're looking to do.
There's actually a map I put in front of you.
You can give them that.
Is the little yellow car the vending truck?
Yes.
That's a small vending truck.
What we're looking to do is offer our clientele food to go along with the alcohol and the games that we're going to be serving. So we're working with just hoping to work with a number of different food trucks to offer a variety, typically 1 at a time. We see no reason that we're going to have to go more than 1 at a time. You know, if we do, we would obviously work with Nancy and you guys to ensure that we can do that. But you know, we think that our clientele sort of expects this sort of environment, When you look at breweries, you look at other not restaurants, but tap rooms, they typically coincide with food trucks. So we're really excited to work with Mark and everyone else involved, and we're hoping to get it done.
So, are they gonna be able to, are people that come to recess, are they gonna be able to bring the food in there to eat it, or do you see them outside? How's that all gonna work?
The idea is that they'll bring the food in.
Okay,
We're not allowed to have alcohol outside of the doors.
right,
So if they choose to go outside and sit outside and eat their food, that's totally fine. They will not be allowed to bring their drinks out. But they certainly can. If it's a nice afternoon or something, they can certainly sit outside. But typically, we're gonna be asking them to come inside.
are you gonna have picnic tables outside for them, or somebody like the gentleman here who's gonna have a food truck, how's that all gonna play in?
I think initially, because of the weather, obviously it won't be an outside thing.
Right.
But again, we're gonna have we have to have a strict policy that does not allow alcohol outside of the doors. So our clientele will be in there drinking, playing the games. So this will be more of an add-on. So they'll be bringing the food in so they can enjoy their food, their beer, and the games at the same time.
Okay, and what about hours of operation for the food trucks?
We gotta kind of play with it a little bit. I envision them to be there, especially during the busy times of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. I envision them to be there a majority of our open hours. But again, we really have to kind of play with the demographics, see what the demand is and all that.
Are you the same one that has been there now?
No, that's Grumpy's,
That's Grumpy.
but he's not open in the winter. So he doesn't reopen until probably May.
So will he be there also?
He's welcome, yeah.
I can speak to that as well. We've talked to Grumpy's as well. He is interested in joining the consortium of food trucks that's going to be there. He still wants to stick to his 11 to 4 time for the most part, especially during the times that he's going to be open, which is off hours for us. So he might do a night here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be Mark and the group of food trucks that he works with.
So you're gonna be there after him, so probably what, 5 to 12,
9. Yeah, probably, yeah. It all depends a lot on, what are you guys open till 11, right?
Yeah, 10, 11.
Yeah.
Tonight.
So,
So, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Chris. Pat.
The other two food trucks are looking for a license from 10 to 11. You're only looking from 4 to 11? You don't
yeah,
foresee
we,
you ever coming in
we just
before
put it
that?
down 10 to 11 to make it,
That's what I was
you
getting
know,
at.
sort of all encompassing.
Right,
Based on what he told me their hours were for the day, but more than likely, if you set it up for 4 to 11, it's gonna be just fine.
And, Mr. Rucho, okay. And which one are you? Because we've got 3.
I'm the dog father, so I'd be dropping out once Grumpy's reopens.
Okay, so
know,
tell
you
us
got-
what your specialty is.
Hot dogs.
Okay. Okay, well, that's what I'm just like kind of wondering, like, which each one is doing.
Yeah, well, I'm hot dogs, extreme hot dogs. We pretty much put anything on a hot dog, so
And that's it.
that's it. Then, and chili, yeah.
Okay, and chips and soda and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
And then
Okay,
one of the other trucks is Teddy's Lunchbox. They do mostly quesadillas and wraps. And then the third one is Travelin' Bones Barbecue, which is barbecue truck, yeah.
okay. And do you all have like a working relationship together? Do you,
Yeah, I'm the dog father, but I also own a company called Woo Trucks, which is a booking agent.
okay,
So, you know, he called me and said, I need more than just one truck because, you know, given the hours and trucks are committed elsewhere, that type of thing, you can't just have one.
right,
So
Okay.
we pulled together those two to start off with and go from there.
okay.
So I know these guys, they're part of our group and I've known them
questions.
for years.
Through the chair. It looks to me like there are 2 trucks at the same time, like 10 to 11 p.m.
Just
for the
one,
lunch box. No, the other one.
one at a
too.
time.
No,
Yeah,
10 to 11 is the lunch box, Teddy's lunch box. The other one is also,
They're all getting the same time, but they're only gonna be scheduled one at a
one
time.
truck at a time.
Yeah, that's,
Who is managing the schedule? You are?
Between Chris and I, yes, we'll be managing the schedule, and working with Mark, we'll be managing the schedule.
And where the trucks are going to be located, or where they're going to put it in?
Right here.
So I haven't seen
Yeah.
the drawing, but I'm pretty sure it's.
Where
On
that
the side
yellow,
of that?
yeah, where the yellow
Yeah.
car is.
So it's not obstructing any parking, it's not obstructing any emergency access. That
All
was-
the way to your door, right?
It's pretty close to the door, yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's right next to the beginning of the walkway that they just put in.
We have a proper lighting there?
So we've been working with the town and with Micah Chase, the landlord, to ensure that we have proper lighting. They are putting lighting on the building, but the town did upgrade the lighting that was going in there. So right now, it's actually very sufficient lighting. If you guys drive by there at night, it's pretty good right now, so.
You'll have rubbish, somewhere around the trucks or on the side, somewhere like that, so we don't have a hazard with going in the street or anything like that.
Yeah, no, the food trucks they travel all over, so they have to deal with their own trash in general. So between, their disposable is not just limited to trash, it's grease, it's, all food stuff. So they're very professional, they deal with all their trash themselves. We'll have a dumpster on site if they need it, but for the most part, most trucks won't need it.
My only question, the other members of the board, is do we want to put some sort of a restriction on the license that says can't be co-located in the area with a food truck at the same time, just to prevent something from getting out of control? Would you guys have any issues with that?
Well, before you answer that, the only problem is the Grumpy's has a
already
license.
there.
Is already there.
Okay,
If
so,
you do that.
So
but I
the
mean,
two.
Well, does Grumpy's have a time on his license? Can he go till 11? Maybe he only went,
He does not go to 11.
Yeah.
He's out of there, I think, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He wanted like the Bob the hot dog hours, get in and get out and go home.
11 to 4, his might be. So I would say, I was thinking the same thing, Pat. On these three, that only one can be there at a time. I don't know how we word that in the license.
Can I?
we?
I'd love to speak to that.
So the thing is, now there is not too many traffic over there. When this business opens, there will be traffic. There will be people coming in. Maybe Grumpy want to up his time, right? So we don't know how much time we gave them permit for the
I think he
Grumpy.
has an answer.
Yeah, I'd love to speak to that because there's a lot of unknown with what kind of traffic is gonna come through. And then, let's say we could get thousands of people a week and only 4 people that go to the food trucks. So the food trucks, it has to be worth it for them too. But I would prefer if we could not put a restriction on it for the sole reason that we're renting the space. These food trucks have to come through the board, they have to go through the Board of Health to be approved. And we're not gonna allow that, we're not gonna allow that sign off, because we have to, part of this process is a sign off from the landlord and ourselves. We're not gonna allow that unless we work with Mark, we work with Dan from Grumpy's to ensure that we're doing the right thing, So we might end up requesting 2 trucks at a time. There might need to be the need for it. So that's why I would hate to put a restriction on it just now, because there's a lot of unknown that are involved. One of the aspects of the business that we really feel is important is that we want people to have fun, but we're serving beer that has some higher alcohol content that we feel like people with food will help with that. So we don't want to turn them away by not having the food.
Mr. Jim, would that also be the case, like, say, I'm assuming that you guys might have tournaments, so you're going to end up with more people, and that's where you're concerned, if it's like a late Saturday afternoon, I can't remember the hours that you said you're going to open, like 2 or 3 in the afternoon or something. So if you're having a tournament, this is where you're a little concerned that you might want to have 2 trucks there. When you're doing like a tournament kind of thing, you would know ahead of time of how many people have signed up. So then you can be prepared for it, and that's where you're concerned.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
would just hate to see restrictions put on just yet.
Yeah,
Just because there is a lot of unknown, I think the process that you guys have in town sort of restricts just anybody showing up anyway. So because we're working with Mark, the dog father, who's sort of has that business where he manages the food trucks themselves, he's in charge of all of them. And myself and Dan and him and Dan have a relationship where they're not gonna step on each other's toes. we've discussed that with both of them, that we don't want that, we don't want any bad blood, it's kind of food truck etiquette anyway. So, I really feel like if there's less restrictions, just because the town itself, I feel, has a positive but strict, policy in place where you have to get sign off anyway for them to be here. So I would appreciate if we could maybe consider not putting a restriction on it because we've gotten these 3 approved.
Well, I have something to add to that, but Nancy, what did you have to add?
I hear what you're saying, but as the licensing authority in this town, you can revisit this at any time.
Yeah.
If this opens and all of a sudden the police chief is saying to me, what are you people, crazy? Look at all these food trucks we have here. You can invite them in at any time and you can revisit the license. And you
like
can
to-
change it at any time.
Yeah, I'd like to start it restrictive and then have them come forward, because I wouldn't want to see, what if it turns out to be, well, people know there's 3 trucks there every night now.
Right.
And people come in from Worcester and say, hey, we know that there's, and it turns into a place that it's like a carnival outside with all these trucks. I mean, I don't know if the board wants to do something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if that happens, we can then revisit it and say, listen, this is a carnival, you got people coming from all over, that's not what we signed up for, and we can put the restrictions in at that point.
I would also like to say too, that
That's not good for your business.
right, that where we plan on having the trucks is set back off the road anyway. The last thing that we want is a carnival. God willing, this business will do well. And there's been a lot of positive feedback that we've gotten so far, so we're hoping that our parking lot's gonna be full. We're hoping that our business is going to be full. So if we also have to combat people coming from outside of here, we're gonna work to ensure that these food trucks are there for our customers, and not to the general public, if I may.
I think a compromise would be limited to 2, then go from there.
Yeah, I can't see us
And
going
the-
more than 2
Agreed.
at a
Also,
time,
the
ever.
Grumpy's also there. Grumpy's will be there too. So if he has a business, he will stay. Why he will leave?
Yeah, that's the question. I know that
Why
they're
should
saying,
I
but
leave?
what if Saturday during the day you have an event? And you want 2 trucks there and then Grumpy
Grumpy's
set up
is trapped.
outside? I don't know.
So again, we've already talked with Grumpy's, where he's actually also mentioned the times that he might be doing our area. He would just set up his entire day in that
Through
area.
this gentleman. Set it up through,
No, I mean, like, he would park his truck not at the front, but he would park his truck in our area the whole time. So if he's going to have that day, he would park his truck in our area the entire day, as opposed to parking there from 11 to 4 and coming here.
would have to
It's the
change
same
his now.
story.
You know what, I think, I mean, he answered my questions, he has a plan, he's not planning on getting that. I just as soon say, let's issue the 3 licenses, let's see how the people that are running a business, that are gonna be doing things for the best of their business, do it. And if we start getting complaints, we meet twice a month, we can have them in and we can stop it in 2 weeks.
I agree with Mr. Foley, and you've
Thanks,
shown us so,
Kathleen.
oh, God, what did I say, Mr. Crowley? It's been a long day. Mr. Crowley, I'm sorry. I mean, you've been, you really have done everything that we've asked, so I do agree with Mr. Crowley.
And we're more than happy to work with the town, we really are, and I hope we've proven that. And the last thing we want is a zoo. That's the last thing we want. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem limiting it to 2, because 2 is really 3, because we can't change Grumpy's. And he's got his times, I don't know what his license says, but we can't change his now, he's not even here.
Can I just ask a question about Grumpy then? You probably don't know, but he parks in the front of and has picnic tables in the middle of the parking lot. Obviously, he's not gonna be able to do that.
Right.
So,
I don't know what he's gonna do. But I mean, obviously, last year, the building was vacant, besides
Right.
Ultimate Obstacles, and now it's not. Excuse me. I do know that we're gonna be open opposite hours of Futures, so the parking lot will kind of filter itself, I think. But you're right, I mean, he was afforded a lot of space before, I'm not quite sure how that's gonna work.
I think it's something we have to keep an eye
I
on.
think, I'm comfortable with 2, but 2 will be definitely 3. So if we allow this for 3, then it's going to be 4, then, we'll be there. And also the same way, instead of the board has to go to them, they can come in a little later on.
Yeah, right.
Revisit
Yeah,
this
no,
later.
Why should we wait for a problem and then
Yeah.
have them come forward to
So,
us?
was that what you said, two at a time?
No, he was saying unlimited. I mean, to the three. He was saying, don't give them.
I think we should just,
I'm saying, why don't we, let them come to us to change it instead of we wait for an issue and we call them all in to fix it?
I mean,
That's fine. Whatever the motion is, I'll vote.
I'm fine with limiting it to 2 trucks, and he could probably speak to it as well. With the amount, what our occupancy is going to be anyway, I don't think that we're gonna ever have a need for 3 trucks anyway in that area. So I'm very comfortable, and I really appreciate limiting to 2 there.
Okay, do we have a motion?
okay, I'll make a motion to approve these 3 transient vendor licenses with the condition that no more than 2 of the 3 vendors can be on site at any time.
I'll second.
And that's,
And
will the
also,
license say it has to be there?
Okay, what the license is going to say, but the on-site is going to be located to the right-hand, we're going to have to put something on the license, because your site is going to be near the recess entrance door,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, I would
Yes.
like that. Is that,
near the,
add that to the motion?
Where this,
And if-
where this yellow car is.
For the yellow cars, yeah.
Which is very tiny.
so this business, no time limit. So they have given hours of operation, that's the hours
Oh,
of
yeah, so we
operation?
can, it was 10 to,
2 of them say 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and then the dog father is 4 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah, I think the Dogfather doing 4, maybe you might be able to speak to that, is because Grumpy's has his time 11 to 4. So that was his way of, ensuring that we're never gonna step on his toes. And, but Grumpy's isn't there some days, so if there is a little leeway on maybe other days, they're never gonna step on each other's toes, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, we're meeting now, we can change this to 10 to 11. But I don't see 2 hot dog trucks being in the same parking lot. They would just, they'd be, that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
so is that the modification to the
Do you want to
motion?
modify that to make it 10 to 11, just
That's
to
okay
cover
with
it?
you? Sure, yeah.
So I'll add that as an amendment to my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Good luck.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good luck.
Thanks, Mr.
All
Foley.
of you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Foley.
Said thank you, Mr. Foley.
I missed it.
Chief, Chief, you want to come up and talk to us about the safer grant
Now, what's going on?
to fund? That's what it says here, but I'm sure there's more.
So
To fund what? It's on our,
here I am again.
yeah.
Safer grant.
Staffing, we've talked about in previous meetings, and now the AFG grant had opened last Friday. They weren't sure on when it was gonna open, and boom, it came. So the grant's a little different now. You have to get a letter of commitment from the town stating that the town supports us going for a assistance to firefighter grant. So we need to put all our carts in a row before I go writing a grant and submitting it. We used to submit it, then we used to come back and say, hey, we got the grant. And I think what they were finding was a lot of towns were defaulting or said, we can't afford that, after they looked at the numbers. So I've met with Ms. Lucia a couple times about staffing. I've gone over several scenarios. She's been working on the regular budget of trying to increase my staffing. I've shared several configurations. Do we hire 1? Do we hire 2? Do we hire 3? I've placed them on a schedule to see how it would play out. Some of the options don't do that much for us. It's probably cost us some money because we'd take on 2 more people and we'd go from a 6-day schedule, 7-day schedule to an 8-day schedule, because you have 2 people on a shift and there's only 7 days in the week, so you have to bump it out. So the whole scheduling would get reconfigured, and it would cost us, or going back to the renegotiation table with the union, and costing us more to get less, I believe, in the long run. And the only advantage to it, it would alleviate our issues with trying to get Saturday staffing. So Saturday's always been an issue, and we're still trying to work on coming up with a solution on that, to try to see if we can hire full-time full part-time people to try to cover the paramedic side of Saturdays and backfill with the per diems that we have. So my thought with going for the AFG is you have to prove to them why staffing needs to be increased for fire safety. We can't go in there and say, well, we're gonna be able to run 2 ALS ambulances, we'll be able to get 2 trucks out the door. They don't care anything about ambulances. The things that'll come into our advantage is when our ambulance is out of town, we go back and we tell the grant, listen, our ambulance was out of town 883 days last year. Our town was unprotected for 35 to 45 minutes for 883 hours out of a year. Those are the things that we use to our advantage. So our town went unprotected for the fire side. So my thought was we had try to find a paramedic to mimic my schedule. They work Monday through Friday, my hours, so that we could staff 2 ALS ambulances. We can get 4 firefighters on the first fire truck out the door. That would help cover our new OSHA requirements that are taking over in February right now of 19. And we'd also be able to recoup some of our losses from those ambulance calls that we're giving away. So we kind of win on all the options that I have in this proposal. And what the town's commitment is, we have to come up with 25% for that firefighter for the first year, 25% for the second year, and then we have to get up 65% for the third year. So the basic cost for a paramedic would be about $53,329 plus benefits. And some of those costs we can roll into the grant, some of them aren't. They have it very specific on what you can put into the grant, like the gear for an extra firefighter, they won't include that in the price of the firefighter. It's really just paying for that firefighter's salary and their benefit package for those 3 years. And what this is to entice towns to grow their staffing and do it in a financial way that you're not crushed with the $53,000 for 3 years in a row. So my proposal would be that. Again, we had talked about it. I would still have to meet with town council to see how this would affect the union contract. Is there any change of working conditions? Because with that extra personnel during the daytime hours, there are some things, so if someone calls in sick, it wouldn't be like where it's imperative that we have to run out and get someone, because we'd still have 3 people on staff just as we have today, Monday through Friday. The evening shift would still have to be covered, but at least we could probably save some sick time, vacation time, personal time for those 5 days there, depending how the union contract would take this. Because it is a growth in the staffing, but on our defense, it's helping them because now they're safer because they have that extra firefighter to respond to fires with and emergency incidents.
I'd just like to clarify, all you're asking us right now is if you can apply for the grant.
Apply for the grant.
And what, if you get the grant, what your plan is to do with it?
So
But all you're asking.
we were already working on my budget to add a person to our budget. When I met with Nancy, she was getting hit with some other budget crisis, and we weren't sure we were gonna sit. So we were trying our hardest to try to get that one firefighter in the budget to alleviate this staffing concern.
Right.
And what we could do is, we put it, if we can get that money put into the budget, we can hold off hiring that firefighter until this grant is either awarded or not rewarded. Because if we hire someone July 1st with the budgeted money, this grant gets thrown out the window. You can't hire them first and then say, oh, we're gonna pay for that guy that we just hired 3 months ago.
When will we hear if we get it?
Usually we submit it now, and you usually hear by the end of July, 1st of August.
It's still, like you say, it's still a cost to the budget. And then at the end of 3 years, it's 100%.
But we were before this grant became available, this is something that
Well,
we've been talking about
staffing
since
for-
we went to the 24-hour shifts. We knew,
So if we don't get the grant, you're gonna be back in front of us, seeing if we can,
And I'll be back with my budget again to say, you know, I need to include this person into my grant. I still have to worry about the Saturday problem, but I still need to take care of this revenue that we're giving away, that we have given proof that from July 1st till January 31st, we gave around, I think it was $14,000 worth of ambulance calls to other towns.
that's my question.
Because I sat in that ambulance waiting for a second medic, second EMT, anybody to come, and I just don't have the people that are in town during those working hours.
okay, so someone can just explain, how are we gonna budget this? He's not gonna know till July. Do we put in the budget 25% of a new officer? Or do we put in the budget
With the whole
a full officer? Because in August, if he doesn't get the grant, he's gonna want an officer, so how do we budget this?
I think we put in for a full officer.
We've been preparing for that in the budget as we were working through this year's budget. I haven't met with FinCom yet, I haven't had my final meeting with the town administrator yet, so it was in there because of those concerns that I've been addressing this board with, that our call department's washing away and that we have a concern. So it's kind of a win, I think, if we can get permission for the one, because, you know, I thought three won't do anything really for us except for give us 3 persons on a 24-hour shift every day. And a lot of these calls that we're giving away, we track these calls, and most of them are given away during the daytime hours.
And we're also filling a lot of these with call-ins, and we are using most of those with overtime. So this will also help reduce the overtime.
That was my point about the overtime. We're spending a lot of money on overtime, that if we could get this other person, it will eliminate a lot of overtime.
We'll eliminate some overtime.
It'll eliminate, let's say, like a third, because you'll only eliminate that 10-hour shift in the
Right.
daytime hours. We still have to pay those overtime shifts, which the union gets right of first refusal on.
So I make a motion to approve the,
Applying for the grant.
Second,
Any other discussion?
yes. We're talking about savings from the ambulance, savings from overtime. The town has to understand, if we get this grant, maybe it will be a wash the first 2 years when you take into account the 25% we're gonna have to pay. Maybe, we might actually make $1 or $2. After that, this is gonna increase the amount of money we're spending. It needs to be done, but I don't want anybody to get the impression that, oh, all these savings are gonna offset the cost of this new hire. It is gonna add to the overall cost to the town, but it's needed.
It's where we're headed with the transition department that we've had. We just don't have volunteers that are living in town coming to me. I have applications, but they do not live within a distance that can respond back to the town.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then I'd just like to report now that the chief and I, the board said that we could sit down and talk about possibly talking with Boylston. We've met once, myself, the chief, and a resident, and we're gonna try to get Boylston involved in the conversation, and we're still working on that. Correct?
We are, and just to clarify, there were some people that asked questions about regionalization. It's not like our fire station's going away. Because some of the thought was, why you worry so much about your fire station getting renovated if it's gonna get moved? Well, we're not talking,
Still need a fire
you just can't get rid of a fire department where we logistically live in each of our communities. It's more joining efforts with personnel and with covering each other, them sending a ladder truck to cover a fire with that. And it was more paperwork issues and negotiations through the towns, because then it was starting to divide up, well, who's getting revenue if our ambulance takes all their ambulance calls and they take our other ambulance calls? Then it comes down to money, and that's where I think the real concerns would be. But just to clarify, we weren't talking about, either town dissolving, their fire stations and equipment.
Taking what we already do and just
Trying to enhance it.
Enhance it, yeah, making a better department.
Generally, regionalization doesn't save much money. What it does is it enhances services for the same amount of money. You get more for the same money the town is spending. If we merged with another school district. We're not going to save any money. We would just have more programs to offer our children. Same thing with merging with another town's fire department. There's not really money savings in any regionalization type stuff. So that's another thing that, there's no magic bullet in regionalization.
But I mean, you're right. Better service, making the department a little bigger, and maybe it won't go up as fast over the years. We may be able to level off spending over the next few years. It won't, the first day, we won't say, look, we saved millions, you know, so. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, good luck with getting the grant. Fingers crossed.
I'll have you proofread.
Did you just turn that down? The heat, did you turn it down? It's so cold in here.
I didn't.
I thought you walked over there.
No, I invited everybody in.
What's going on here?
Well, there's a nice exhibit outside.
Yeah.
What's everybody coming in for?
Okay, next item on the agenda, we're going to take it out of order. Concurrence on the appointment of Michael Dominguez to the position of Permanent Patrol Officer effective February 21st, 2019, for a term to expire on February 20th, 2020, at a Step 2, $30.38 an hour. Hello. Sergeant, you want to give us any update on this?
Evening, members of the board. For those of you who haven't met me or haven't seen me in a while, I'm Tom Belvin, Sergeant here in town. And the chief, who couldn't be here today, asked me to introduce his candidate for full-time patrolman. It's Mike Dominguez. Mike Dominguez put himself through the police academy, graduated the academy in 2012, the Worcester Police Academy. He's worked as a police officer in the towns of Charlton and Uxbridge. He's also done some private sector work. He's here with his family, his wife, his son, mother and father. He's also, which I think speaks well of him, he has a former employer here, Chief Purvier from Charlton, and current police officers that have worked with Mike. Chief asked for your appointment for him, like I said, to full-time patrolman. And this is Mike Dominguez.
Nice
to meet you all.
Is this filling a position of someone
It
that
is.
left?
He'll be filling James Conway's position. James Conway's a patrolman, went to Worcester PD.
Worcester PD. Okay, anybody have any questions besides Siobhan? Go ahead.
So Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what do you know about the town?
So I was born and raised in the city of Marlboro. My wife and I, we kind of grew up together. Eventually got together, had married, had a baby. Always chasing the dream of being a police officer. Put myself to the academy. Worked in a couple of departments, and really excited to be here and be here for the town of West Boylston as patrolman. It's a real honor and privilege to be here, and I'm excited to serve and protect this community.
And where are you living?
I live in the town of Charlton.
Oh.
With my wife and my 18-year-old month.
Little one. He's adorable.
Thank you.
So, what interests you about West Boylston?
I think it's a small town community, which I'm kind of used to, but it's closer to home where I grew up. From what I hear about the department, it sounds like a great group of guys, a good place to learn and a great place to serve and be a part of a camaraderie and a solid group of people and a nice town.
Do I hear?
Make a motion.
I'm all set.
Okay, do you hear a motion?
Second.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Michael. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Congratulations, and I hope we don't run into each other.
Get a picture, sure.
I'm just here.
You just hit introduce? Yeah, okay. Put the new guy in the middle. Come on. Stand in. All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. Good. One with flash, just in case. Hang on. Hang on. It's arguing with me. On. Yes. 1, 2. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say it.
That's what all the people here for.
Huh?
Okay, now we can get back on schedule here before the ice storm. Okay, fire chief, consider amending FIS committee to reduce the number of residents on the committee by 2. Currently, the makeup is 9 members. The Board of Selectmen, the FinCom member, representative, and 3 residents, with 2 resident vacancies. So would like to change, to take out the 2 residents to make it 1 resident?
We've been operating like that for quite a while now. I just think it makes sense, and especially going to some of people are on vacation, stuff like that, we're gonna need to make it 7 to have a quorum. So you're gonna need 4 for a quorum, so I just think it makes more sense to do that.
And we've been having problems, well,
Right.
2 resident vacancies, we've been asking for people to step forward, nobody has, and we've been having problems with a quorum lately.
Then it looks like a select board meeting, right?
It is already.
Basically a select board.
Well, that's,
Or
without the 2
5 members.
residents that we've been trying to get, that's what it is.
But we still have a member of the finance committee and,
Yeah,
a
finance
resident.
committee member and
Resident.
1 resident.
1 resident.
So sometimes there's 3 and 2,
Right.
you know. Yeah, I mean, I think we can, if the, after, well, we've got a project that's gonna be closing in a couple weeks or a month. So I think we're gonna have to relook at the whole committee in the next few months to see what the committee, what we're gonna do next, if anything. And if we're gonna,
We may disband the committee for a while.
if we're not gonna do anything, then, or if we're gonna do a certain building, we're gonna have to maybe change this again to add somebody from that group possibly on it, but.
I kind of agree with Chris on this, but in only half, sorry, Mr. Rucho.
Mr. Foley.
I have a problem with it being 90% of the Board of Selectmen. I think we should leave it as is until this project gets done, see what people are looking for in the town, and reevaluate at that point. Because like I stated, I have a hard time with all of the selectmen, and I think if we, like Chris just said, or Mr. Hadley just said too, if we're not going to be meeting, then this is null and void. And then again, if something else changes down the road, it can be revisited. I'm not comfortable with this group having so heavy on the Board of
Like I
Selectmen.
said, I think we should do it just for the quorum, but I'll make a motion to reduce the number to 7.
There a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
And then in regards to discussion, the only thing I'd say is, currently, the way it stands, that's what it is. We're not, so we've been running this committee with this way for months now. So, I mean, we're not really changing the committee, we're not throwing anybody off to make it more Board of Selectmen. This is the way it's been running, we've posted it, so we're just changing it for, really for the finish of this project, and then that we could relook at this in the next few months, I don't know. So I have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No?
No.
Okay. Next item, consider I can't say it.
Departmental.
Thank you. Transfer for the town clerk's election budget to transfer $6,950 from salary and wages to other for the purchase of 10 voting booths. Any questions or concerns?
So this is something, new booths?
Basically, we've had these booths for a very long time, and they're very tired. And someone noticed that someone was voting, and the booths were kind of collapsing, so they removed the booths. And the town clerk, with the additional voting hours, we were able to we filed with the state, and we were able to get those funds back. Those funds, with the additional funds from the other line item, will allow us to buy 10 more booths. And we're gonna get rid of the tired booths and have some nice new booths.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman?
how many we have currently?
We are getting 10 new booths.
Those.
They're all going.
Okay, Siobhan?
Is this part of, what budget year? Would this-
Elections.
Okay,
And we've done an analysis, and there's enough left in the salaries and wage account for the remainder of the year.
okay, so it's not gonna go, okay. I'm just trying to figure out what year we were, dealing in.
Yeah,
And
no
then-
new money.
Okay, and so going forward, we still think 10 is enough?
Yes.
Okay, that was my next question, if we're gonna do this. So you don't know how many we have now?
The vendor says that he has voting booths out there that are 25 years old, so these are going to have a nice, long lifespan.
So this is 10-4?
Yes,
Yeah, so it's,
I think we have 10 now, don't we? That's what we use?
that's what I'm thinking, so it's not just 10 booths, it's 10 with 4 spots at each booth. I'm thinking, that's what we have now.
yes.
Yeah, that's my
To
guess.
take care
Yeah.
of both
That's what I was thinking.
precincts.
Yeah, you have, so.
Right.
Okay, do I hear a motion? So I guess the balance in that account is $10,950, and they're looking to spend $6,950, is that right? Or is that current after we spend? How's that usually?
No, it's usually before it's
So so there's gonna be another 3,000 in there. Okay, 4,000. Have a motion and a second, any other discussion?
These usually have a $5,000 limit. We can do this. Don't transfers,
Just to, it's already gone to finance and they've approved it.
I don't
Oh,
think
okay,
they-
got it.
Yeah, I think we've done over 5,000.
if it's over
transfers.
5, it has to go to FinCom for the approval.
Okay, motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consider signing letter of support for Wachusett Greenways for Mass Central Rail Trail. I'm always nervous signing letters for the rail trail.
This is just their annual support letter they put in for their grants, and all of the Wachusett towns usually send a letter of support.
Not for the $1,000, right?
Now, the $1,000 is already in the budget.
I'll make a motion to sign the letter.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Next is marijuana subcommittee, myself and Pat, consider community host agreements. Pat will give us an update on what we're looking at.
We've come to an agreement as the subcommittee with both Ganesh and Humboldt. Ganesh has 3 host community agreements. The dispensary one is, while not identical, all the important terms are identical to the one that we've already approved for Mr. Fuller's, I forget the name of the, Harmony. Ganesh also has a manufacturing HCA as well as a growing HCA. Both of those will contain assuming we approve them, will contain a 3% community impact fee. All of the other boilerplate legal languages in there. There is no floor, there is no donation amount as the other two have. What is in those 2 agreements is that if any product that is quote-unquote sold to a dispensary that is owned or affiliated with Ganesh, that is outside of the town of Massachusetts. In other words, they're taking the product that they made, they're transporting it to the city of Worcester, and selling it at the city of Worcester. We would have no community impact fee from that product because it was not sold. So if they sell it at a dispensary that is affiliated with or owned by them, and it's transferred to that dispensary for less than its fair market value, we'll get the 3% host community agreement payment on that product as well. Humboldt Master also has the same agreements, a manufacturer and a grow, has agreed to that same language and has agreed to the 3%. Everything else has the same legal type language as the one that we've already approved for Harmony.
So you said there's no floor, is there a minimum?
No, for the grow and the manufacturer, it's just 3% of their sales is what the community impact fee will be.
And
So
on a retail is,
the retail is $120,000 minimum per year, but it's 3% of sales.
payable quarterly.
All of these are payable quarterly. They all have language that say if you don't pay them, you'll get a letter from us within 10 days, and it has to be paid within 10 days or 15 days. So it's not payable quarterly, and nothing happens if they don't pay it. And the dispensary ones, they have the same $50,000 donations to local charities that are located in West Boylston or support West Boylston residents.
And who picks those?
The dispensary owner picks those, but both of them have asked us to provide them input on who the local charities are. We told them we'll give you a list, but we don't want to put it in the host community agreement that we have to provide the list, because there may be a charity we just don't know about that's located in town. And if we say, oh, this is your list, and they say, hey, we want to give $5,000 to, this charity, if it's not on the list, they can't. So, and that's a yearly contribution.
And this only, it can't be transferred?
None of these licenses can be transferred. If there's a sale of a wholesale sale of the dispensary or the growing piece, then we have to renegotiate we have the option to renegotiate. One of the other things that Ganesh asked to be put in exchange for the floor, they said no problem, but if the town changes its bylaw so that there's more than 2 dispensaries allowed, they want the opportunity to renegotiate, because they're agreeing to that floor because they know there's only 2 of them, and we agreed to that as well.
And isn't there, if there's a significant change in ownership?
So Ganesh had asked if we want to get an outside, in Harmonies, it says, does any change in ownership, and they agreed to that. Ganesh said, if we want to have an investor come in to raise capital, but we're still the owners, we can't do that. So they asked if there is a change in ownership that, not just an investor, but an actual change in ownership, that clause would be in effect, but not just if they have another person come in and put up some money, but 90% of the owners are still the same. And so we agreed to that language as well. And all of this, what we told both of these applicants is that if the board agrees, we will then send your licenses to town council.
Your host agreements.
Yeah, your host agreements to town council, have them look over it. Once town council sends it back, we're gonna send them to Dennis, make sure he's okay with it.
The police chief, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Police Chief Minnick. Then we're gonna send them back to them and say, okay, here's the language that we've agreed to. Any issues? And what we're asking is the Board of Selectmen to say, pending legal approval, pending police chief's approval, that we approve the host community agreements.
For the record, Ganesh, they have a dispensary at Old El Farno Place, and they also want 100 Hartwell. That's a growing, and what else they want?
They have a manufacturing place that's gonna be co-located with the dispensary.
Growing and manufacturing.
No, the other boy.
Manufacturing and sales, so they're gonna have a kitchen.
Retail, and that's gonna both be at the,
Oh, El Farno.
Yeah.
Retail and
the kitchen, so they'll take the flour and make candies or whatever out of it.
so at 100 Hartwell, just growing.
Yes.
Okay. And this Humboldt Masters, they have a growing, 215 Sewsbury Street.
They have a growing and a manufacturing at 215 Shrewsbury Street, and he's actually not sure, he's definitely doing the manufacturing. He's not sure about the growing piece because they haven't gone through Concom to see how big of an area that he could do a greenhouse. So he's applying for the license. I got the impression that he was gonna move forward with the growing, but he he's definitely wants to do the manufacturing, may or may not do the growing, but he is applying for the growing.
But he came in for the indoor growing in addition to the greenhouse growing, right?
No, I believe that he said that the growing will be in the greenhouses.
Oh, so
It says-
the whole entire area is for manufacturing.
That was our
Yes.
understanding, yeah.
Okay.
And.
But
is he
his
gonna-
his license will be both growing as well as manufacturing?
If he goes
Yes,
forward.
and he had actually, his counsel is telling him that they only need, we have 3 separate HCA's for Ganesh, that's fine. His counsel is saying they only need 1 HCA, and that's how he has it written. So I told him, I mean, whether it's 1 or 2, it's the same language. I told him, no problem, we can recommend this to the board with where we're at, because we have the language ironed out. So if our town council says, hey, you need 2, it'll just be split up into 2. If they say no, you can have 1, that, you know, it's one and the same, we don't need, for the dispensary one, there's completely different language in them, so I'm more comfortable doing the 3, but if town council says grow and manufacture can all be on 1 HCA, and the CCC, Cannabis Control Commission, is okay with that, I'm okay with it.
But one business, you want 3 different host agreement, and then other business, you want only 1?
Mainly because of the retail.
Because the retail host.
I agree, but retail, and then they have the manufacturing. That comes under 2 different.
They have
host
3.
agreement, right?
Ganesh is
Yeah.
looking for 3, retail,
Yeah.
manufacturing, and
Growing.
growing. The only difference between the manufacturing and the growing is the one word that says manufacturing versus growing. That's it. Everything else, all the language is identical.
Okay.
But the retail is not identical.
So they agreed to the 3.
Right.
Which is,
6 of one, half dozen of the other, gets
Either
us to
one.
the same spot.
Mr. Crowley, you did say that our town council will also be looking at this?
Yes.
But we've also, before we got to this, have been talking to town council, so it's not the first time they're actually seeing it. I
the
think
subcommittees
that's
made changes through,
through
Yeah,
town
and so
council's
our starting
advice.
point
Right.
was, for the retail one, our starting point was a license that town council has already approved. So both Ganesh and Humboldt have incorporated language that we know that town council, one of the examples of the language that we incorporated in was in legalese, it said, it is difficult within your budget to identify the exact costs associated with these facilities. Therefore, the licensee agrees that they will not question that the 3% that we're getting is being used for all the legal stuff that it can be used for to defray the cost to the town. And that's language that town council said to put in, they said, okay. So before we even go to town council, these new agreements have that language in.
Right, I just want to make sure that the townspeople listening understand that it's not the first time our town council has been contacted, so it's been something that you guys have been working with
the
over the last
subcommittee,
few
after we
months.
went through stages, we
Right.
sent it to town council,
Right.
looked at it, and we used the old one everything's been approved, and we used a lot of that language.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So you two are recommending Ganesh and Humboldt Master.
Both agree with those host agreements, with those conditions that Pat said.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion second, any other discussion? So, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd also
So,
like to thank you two for all the work you did on it. I know it was a lot of work and you did a great job.
I think Pat, he's an expert on these things now.
I know.
He could write another 50 of them.
I'm gonna hire him in the kitchen.
No thanks.
Okay, old business, employee survey, final review, and vote to go forward. I hope we put it off last week to take a look at it. Go ahead. Yeah.
The only question I had is, people are gonna fill this out if they feel comfortable and not asking who they are. And when I saw one of the questions about how long you've been in town, I wonder if we should look at adjusting those years, because it's a lot easier to figure out if you're a longtime employee and everybody knows how long you've been in town, that
Nancy.
you're the only one who's been here that long. And I know when I personally had to do these things at my office, I kind of sit there and maybe wouldn't fill in the right answer, just so I'd not have to worry that somebody else was going to figure it out who I was. So that is something that stood out for me, and
I guess the only thing I'd say on that one there is just make it optional.
Which one is that?
Question 2.
yeah.
I would just say make it, if it, are we gonna use the online survey again for this? Is that the
I
plan?
don't believe they're going to use this for the employee engagement.
Yeah, so I would just, I guess then if it's just a paper one, all of them are optional. It's the computer one that makes it
I
mandatory.
thought it was going to be computer.
Yeah, so,
That's not my understanding. My understanding is that the citizen survey is going to be done on March 1st, and then we go forward with the employee.
So are you planning on handing the paper, because not a big town, people recognize the handwriting too.
Yep.
Mr. Fowler can write.
I'm just bringing this forward. I was not on this subcommittee, and I hear what you're saying.
well, to tell you the truth, I was on the subcommittee, and I don't recall we talked much about this. We mainly talked about the resident survey. I thought it was gonna go online, but, you know, personally, some people may not mind letting you know. I would like to add a few questions at the bottom that says, optional, obviously, but, you know, like we do on the residents one. You want to tell us, you know, any questions, you want us to email you, you want to tell you who we are? I mean, some people may not be afraid to hide
So,
their name.
can you download it as a PDF, then they can do it on the computer and print it?
Make it a fill-in-the-blank PDF. We could send it to them in a Word document and
What
they
I
can
don't
type it.
understand is if you put this online, other people could fill it in, other than employees. How do you limit this, so I don't know how you would go about doing that.
I don't know under the online survey where you may have a feature that, first of all, the link could only be given to local people. And then I don't know if we could somehow, I don't know the answer.
You can do it only one time, the survey.
Yeah, but she's saying anybody can give the link to everybody and everybody can fill it out. Everybody in town could fill out this one if it was online. I don't know if you can restrict it to, you can put in certain email, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. So I guess we can hand it to them in paper, in a Word document or a PDF, fill in the blank PDF.
Do you know who was on this original subcommittee?
With myself, Raj, but we didn't talk much.
I'm not on the employee subcommittee.
No, we had the surveys. We did both this, we were supposed to talk about both the surveys. But we never got to the employee. All we did was the resident.
Yep.
So maybe what we need to do is, maybe we're premature on this, maybe we need to go back and look at this.
And we can
It's-
have the lady that's helping us out in regards to the resident.
Sure, I can invite Norma in and we can look to see when we can sit down with her and get our
She's
thoughts
been
together.
doing a lot of volunteer work for us. She set up the whole online one, which is getting good response, and we want more people to go in the next few weeks, the next few days. Yeah, go ahead.
The other concern where, we have an interim town administrator, I kind of question number 11.
Yeah.
And in any kind of surveys I've ever been part of, there's usually some place for me to list things that I'm proud of or other concerns, and I didn't really see kind of an open-ended question for people. And I will say, number 6, no matter when you ask people about compensation, it's gonna be negative, so, those were just some of my concerns when I was reading through it.
I'll make a motion to pass over this and establish a subcommittee.
Well, unless we can change it, or we can use the same, I thought we
We'll
were
have the
doing
same, or have
both.
the same
We never met.
subcommittee,
We
survey
never met.
subcommittee
I don't
revisit
think
this.
so. we-
I
don't
second
think so
Pat's
we
motion.
looked at it. This is mostly I never remember.
Okay,
Did we look at
So
it?
that's, we're going to.
so Pat, so Chris and
my-
Roger are gonna look at it.
Yeah, and we're gonna, you noted those
Sure.
those suggestions from Siobhan that we can talk about.
Sure.
Yep, so I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. General update on senior center. I don't know what we can
Moving,
say.
this is supposed to be done, February 28th is the last day, and the building is supposed to be finished and turned over on that day.
It doesn't, just let the residents know, it's not, we're not opening the doors.
We're not
for the
opening the doors for
28th.
business, but.
Still a lot more to do in
Right.
regards to moving in
But
and
as far as
setting
the
up.
contractor finishing the project, just the building itself, the outside of the property will not be done till April or May because of the weather.
Is there any tentative date for in,
Not yet.
Not yet, no.
No.
I think they're waiting for weather, and the parking lot's all ready, it's lined, they lined it for us temporary, so. Okay. Approved change order number 5 for $12,484.
So, second.
Have a motion and a second, and I'm sure Pat will tell this, but I'll tell it again. We had a building meeting right before this. The building committee went through every one of these change orders. The subcommittee that meets went through every one of them, and they recommended to bring it to the Board of Selectmen to pay the change order. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
aye,
Aye, opposed? C&B Associates invoice number 5939 for $8,032.50.
so moved.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? RAC Builders Incorporated, application number 10 for $384,047.
So moved.
Second,
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Next is, we're passing over the next one, I'm sorry, Collier International invoice number 23436, $14,991.67.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Government?
We did have another Collier's invoice that just came in, and I added it to FISP. I didn't get a chance to add it to your agenda.
Correct, it was,
That-
the invoice number,
132, and the amount is $9,216.67.
So moved.
second,
a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
The next item we're going to pass over, this, again, the
Right.
FIS committee had questions about it, so we're going to pass it over. The next is Dell Marketing, $3,966.12.
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Okay, interim town administrator's report. Nancy, you can take an update on landfill.
Right, I had a meeting with Kevin McHugh. He's the gentleman from Conoco Engineers, just to give us an update on where we were with all the testing that we're doing. And as you know, this was all caused by the state lowering the limits of dioxin that could be in the testings. And it went from 3 parts per billion to 0.3 parts per billion within the last few years. And he says that this is happening all across the state. In fact, I gave you a map that showed other areas that had the same issues that we had. Our issue is that we're close to the reservoir. We've been going forward, doing all of our testings, and this is caused by liquid that's used as a solvent in the manufacturing of chemicals. It's found in paint, adhesives, pesticides, and products such as household cleaners, detergents, and shampoos, and cosmetics. And he said those were things that were put into the landfill, and that's what's seeping out now. Anyway, we've been doing all of our testing. We had some wells that were taken out. We went back and put the other wells into service, and then we installed 4 more wells, 2 deep and 2 shallow. And what he showed me on a map is where these are. If you're looking at Temple Street, you have Temple Street, and across the street you have the Fish and Wildlife. If you pull into Fish and Wildlife, there's a road that goes down to the building, and there's a sliver of land. That's where we put the wells. The 4 new wells went in there. We continue to test. We're continuing to find small traces, but nothing over the top. And so he's recommending we don't do anything yet, and we still have a property that is on a well on 10 Oak Ave, and they come from the Pleasant Valley well. And we've tested everything, everything is clear, the water district tests everything. So right now, the news is, we continue to test, there are no changes, and at this point, we should just stay with what we're doing.
Nancy, did he say if those wells in the future that are close to the reservoir show up at 4 parts per million, what we'll have to do?
He did not.
Maybe I don't want to know the answer to that.
Well, and then he told me, they also test the gases that come out. And he tells me that, I think it was 25 years ago that we capped this. So he says after 30 years, we won't even have to do that anymore because it's going to be done. They won't be coming out anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and as you know, the MLP pays for the testing of the current wells that we have. The additional 4, the town pays for, but the MLP, they pay for the original testings.
The next items we have are the sewer abatements.
Sewer abatements. I don't know whether you had a chance to look this over. We have 5 abatements we need to look at. The first one is for a Tracy and Paul Weldon of 176 Pierce Street. Their application was filed on November 12th, 2018. The amount of the sewer bill was $552.42. The resident paid $130. The individual put in a new lawn and would like an abatement of the full bill. To begin with, per the policy, in order for the board to even abate the bill has to be paid in full. That has not happened. And in looking back on previous abatements, the sewer commission never abated a bill that was caused by watering of the lawn. In one case, you had a gentleman who was told to continue to pay, and he paid his minimum, but he was then assessed charges, and we did abate the interest charges. So on this one, the recommendation is to deny the abatement.
Any discussion on this, or anybody have any?
The one that we did we abated the interest charges was because the resident was told by a previous DPW director.
Correct.
Don't pay that bill, I haven't taken it to the board yet, and it was 18 months or so later. This is timely, we're looking at this in a fairly timely manner. So I agree with the recommendation, we shouldn't abate this.
Is that a motion?
I don't think we have to make a motion if we're not gonna take any action, right?
Do we not need to take any action if we don't want to debate it?
The form is in your signature file. I think you,
No,
Okay, I'll make a motion to deny this abatement.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
the second abatement is from Mark and Danielle Wyatt of 575A Prospect Street. This was filed on February 1st, 2019. The homeowner's sewer bill was $1,225.28. It was the result of a drop in temperatures. An outside hose was left on, burst, and the water leaked into the yard. Per your policy, this would fall under a mechanical deficiency. And in reviewing their sewer charges, the highest amount paid for 1 quarter was $376.09. So I recommend that you abate the bill by the $849.19 because in the past you have abated mechanical deficiencies and they just paid the highest quarter and you abated the remainder.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, Pat?
This particular one, they haven't paid the bill yet?
It's brand new, they just got the bill.
Understood, I just want to make sure, I mean, that's, I don't have any issue approving this, I just want to make sure the board's aware that our policy says the bill has to be paid.
It does, but it's
not
not
even due
due
yet.
until,
Right, so but I think in this instance, we should make an exception to that policy, but I want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Yeah, I agree. So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
the third one is
Opposed? No. Sorry, go ahead.
Thomas Lake, 17 Pheasant Hill Run. The abatement was filed on March 1st, 2018. The homeowner's sewer bill was for $282.36. The homeowner did pay the bill in full. However, if you look at the usage history, you previously received bills in the amount of $374.35, $371.65, and $368.95. He also noted that the unusual amount of water used was due to unattended garden watering, and that, again, is similar to the new lawn. It's not a mechanical issue, so I believe the request should be denied.
Nancy,
Yep.
those 3 bills are the same period of time, or is in a different month? The
Different months.
374, 371,
If you look at the-
368.
374 was in December. 371 looks like it was in December also. 11/7 was 368. And just some other bills. Am I looking at bills?
Just gotta look at the charge ones.
Yeah, the charge, we have a 248, he has a bill for 248, he has a bill, a charge for, where is that, it's a payment.
Yeah, you have the list.
Yeah, but we're missing, patent. Those are,
Goes from,
Thomas.
I don't think it matters, it's for excessive watering.
yeah, right.
So I make a motion that we deny this.
Second.
This-
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay,
the
next.
next one is for an Edward Rimzeka, 40 Angel Brook Drive. The abatement was filed on February 9th, 2018. The homeowner's sewer bill was $348.53. The homeowner did pay the bill in full. They indicate that the bill was higher than usual based on a small plumbing leak. This would fall under a mechanical deficiency. So in looking at their history, their lowest bill was $66.89 for a quarter. The highest bill was $119.22. So the average bill is $93.06. So I recommend abating the bill by $250.47.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The last abatement is from Melissa and Mike Pope, 249 Woodland Street. The abatement was filed November 24th, 2017. The homeowner's sewer bill was for $933.47. The homeowner did pay the bill in full. They indicated that the bill was significantly higher than their normal amount. However, if you look at their usage, it appears that the same time the previous year, they had a bill that was even higher than that, of $970.99. So I believe that this abatement should be denied.
I know, I looked at these earlier too, but Pat just brought this up to me. That 970 is a payment. That's not a charge. That looks like they must have had an outstanding bill. Oh, the charge here is prior, 0.
Transaction amount, yeah,
Yeah, so
979.
970, that one. Then they have $504 bills, they have,
These ones have interest, so that means they may be,
this one here's a charge of 300. Oh, it could be carried over. Yeah, I don't know, what's the board?
did they give a reason why?
That's what I'm looking for, I don't see anything.
No, it's in here, it just says usage in bill amount is significantly higher than
Than the
our
normal
normal
amount.
amount.
So here's the
That was
transaction history.
the October bill was the summer watering.
Summer, right. Which could also be garden or anything else.
I'll make a motion to deny this abatement request.
I'll second it.
Yeah, but can I? Through the chair?
Yes.
So when you look at the bills, it's all like 275, 970. There is one bill at 970,
Yeah,
142, 300, 504. Why don't we get the clarification and then, make a decision next week? Well, is this a real bill? 978 is a real bill.
Well, there's one 3 years ago for the same amount of money.
It's,
Yeah, but all other bills, and look at all other bills, you know, it's like.
I think I'd go back to what Pat said the
This
last
is the
time,
bill
with or
for-
without that bill.
Right.
They're just saying their bill's high. My bill was high one month, I didn't come in and ask for an
I
abatement.
mean, this is the bill for the usage in July, August, and September.
It's gonna be high.
Their summer bill, they watered their lawn all summer, they got a sewer bill and they went, oh my God. And that's the way the sewer policy is written. You pay for whatever comes out the faucet, you pay for on the sewer side.
Unless you want to get a second meter if you water your lawn a lot.
You know, I agree, but I thought like, you know, we don't have enough explanation from the,
So I guess they could always refile
Yeah.
with more information.
okay.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nancy, I'm looking at the papers we have to sign, and you're right. Just says abatement allowed, reason for abatement, so it doesn't, so which ones did we, yeah, we'll figure it out later and have, the board will have to sign them.
The next item is, we're gonna start planning for we're gonna do a town-wide cleanup for Earth Day. I'm meeting next Wednesday with Norma Chanis, who was very involved on the Earth Day that we had, actually, the town cleanup we had this fall. And we're looking at either having the date on Saturday, April 20th, or Saturday, April 27th, but we'll have more news to follow. And once the date has been finalized, we'll be reaching out to the residents who participated last year, and hopefully we'll get more people this year and plan our event. An update on the town surveys. To date, we have 385 completed surveys. In the last 2 weeks, we received about 50 more, and if anybody's looking for the surveys, they were online. There are paper copies at the library, the Council on Aging, Town Hall. You can drop them off at any of those places as well. And 2 other items. There were changes in the Municipal Modernization Act, and they changed the way that you can vote snow and ice over expenditures of those accounts. And only because I thought that seemed rather strange, and you're always looking to say, okay, where are we with snow and ice? Well, now it can be the town administrator who approves the over expenditure. They took the selectmen and the finance committee out of it, and it's supposed to be just the chief administrative officer. But just to give you a heads up on where we are now over on snow and ice. Last week, we were at 47. This week, and I went through all the warrants, all the bills that I signed today that will be processed over the weekend, and we're now 90,000 over in the various line items. But going forward, I'm still going to let you know where we are, even though you don't have to approve it, because I think it's just a good thing to have you know where we are on snow and ice. And one more item is we did the surplus equipment auction for the Council on Aging. We had one item, which was a storage unit, and we got one bill, we got one bid on that for $35. So that's all we got. We didn't really get many people who were interested in anything. But in fairness, we did give the list to all the town departments, and everybody picked over and got what they wanted. So we just have one one bid on one item, and we'll dispose of everything else.
So do we have to motion
If you
to sell
could,
that?
if you could make a motion to dispose of it, that would be great.
So moved.
Second.
John, you have any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Is that it? Yes.
That's it, thank you.
Yes, in regards to these, Pat just brought up to me, in regards to all these licenses today, do you want us to sign these and you fill in the difference, or do you want to make new ones? And
I'm
we
gonna make
come-
new ones.
And you come and sign them, and we'll,
You sign them.
yeah, and we'll
No,
sign
this
them.
one is, okay. that's
Oh,
the-
all these,
that's the
Pat,
honey-
all
no,
these are the bad
those
ones?
3 are no good. This one is fine
Honey
because
Farms is
Yeah,
fine.
Honey Farms should be fine, the other 3, I want
We all
to put
signed.
more language in them.
Yeah, so we'll just,
We all signed it.
leave that there, and these here will go in the file, so Nancy can fix them. Okay, next item on the agenda is,
That's it.
Concurrence on the appointment of Gary Kelleher to the position of interim director of Public Works effective February 21st for a term to expire upon the hiring of a permanent director or 24 hours a week at a rate of $55 per hour.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I mean, I don't think this gentleman that came forward to us, I think he's gonna help us out in the interim time. He's also gonna help us possibly with some facilities questions that we have, since he has some background. One of which we're gonna ask him to go through when the senior center goes through its walkthrough, they tape it anyway. We're gonna have him come on with us in case future down the road he's involved in the town with some other capacity. So, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So the next item is meetings and invitations. It was for last night, so I hope everybody was able to attend. February 19th, the community outreach meeting for Community Growers Partnership LLC, 541 Prospect Street at the Manor at 6 to 7. That was last night, so can't go to that.
Can I ask a question? So since we already approved 2 host agreements, do we need any?
No, these folks had it in case something fell through. They wanted to have their
Okay.
community meeting.
But there shouldn't be any more community meetings or anything?
No, if you're a grower or a manufacturer, you
You can have
still
one,
have to
yeah.
have the community
For
meeting.
for
and-
retail.
and it's
I
not-
mean for retail.
There's no more for retail. Well, we are still, I believe, accepted. We have an open invitation, I believe, for backup applicants. We haven't received any, and we've now approved 2 host community agreements, which means they're going to go forward to the Cannabis Control Commission to get their licenses. Until that happens, we're still entertaining.
Okay.
But as a
More than
practical
likely,
matter,
people are gonna
no.
look at it and say, the 2 are taken, why am I
Right.
gonna waste my time?
Right,
I would
as a
think.
practical matter, no.
So, next item is MMA's legislative breakfast meeting have been scheduled for February 29th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Athol Public Library in the 568 Main Street in Millbury, ASA Waters Mansion, 123 Elm Street. Okay, future agenda items and/or selectmen's requests. Anyone?
I have 2. Nancy, I don't know if you're still putting it, but can you, if you aren't, put the survey up on the town sign? And are you doing the administrator's blog, or do you have access to it? If you could just send that out again, just to remind people that it's closing when does that close?
I think,
March
March
1st.
1st, I
March 1st?
believe.
but I just did a news item. Did you get that on the community survey? No?
No.
I saw something on the community
get
survey
one?
recently.
I sent that out because I called the people at Virtual Town Hall and asked them how I do the blog, and they said, oh, you just do an outside, you sign up for the news, a news alert.
See, I think the problem is sometimes you might be signed up for DPW, but not the town administrators, or this community one, there's like 5 or 6 different ones.
Do
So
we
if we
have
can
one where we
find,
could blast it to everybody?
I thought.
only
I
people
thought
have
I
to sign
did.
up.
No, but if...
Oh, we can't, if you're asking for DPW, they're only asking for DPW.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to...
They don't want to hear
Yeah,
about.
you don't want to get
what,
spammed.
upcoming
You're right, you're
meetings.
right. Well, if you put it on the town board, and then, yeah, and I know Anita was doing this, can you give a grant writers update, just what they're working on?
Sure.
Any other agenda items or selectmen, John?
No.
Still laughing at that other thing. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Have a motion, a second, any other discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, thank you very much.